Welcome to Retro Logic. I'm Sam Wagers here again with John Cummins and Shannon Eno. How are you guys doing this week?
Good. Doing all right. It's good to be back.
That's great.
Yes.
We are still waiting with bated breath for the foretold return of Dan, but Dan will return in Retro Logic episode 126, I think.
Maybe. We'll see.
We will see.
It's kind of like the Danverse again.
He's not gone. he will return. It's like the end of a Marvel movie. Dan will return.
Maybe we'll get Evil Dan.
Yeah. But Retro Logic is not just a podcast. It's not just Dan. No, it is a whole community of retro gamers with a active, friendly, and free Discord, giveaways, contests, and a whole family of retro podcasts that you can check out at our website, retrologic.games. That includes Film Logic, as well as Retro Groove, which just had a new episode posted. Was that today? Or are they recording one today?
I believe they're recording today.
Recording today. So there will be a new episode soon. The last one was Linkin Park, I believe. Hybrid Theory.
They're on a roll. They're putting an episode out every week.
Yeah, they're putting us to shame.
They are.
They're in a lot of ways. The student has surpassed the master, as they say. But that's great. We love Retro Groove. They put out great stuff, and yeah, we're glad to have them. We're glad to have all the members of the community they bring in. What's been happening this week? I know you guys have been playing Brothership. I have not, but I've played some Metal Slug Tactics. I've played some Etrian Odyssey. I've played some other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much sums it up. I've been playing some Brothership. I like it. I'm not. It's not grabbing me quite as much as I kind of had hoped for. And I think as I was kind of trying to figure it out, I think it just kind of comes down to it doesn't the setting and the characters that you're interacting with. I don't know why, but they just don't seem very Mario to me. And I miss like Goombas and Goombas, and not that you can't have other enemies, and you quite often do in Mario and Luigi games, but this is the first time they felt pretty foreign to me, and I'm not gonna give up. I'm still enjoying. I'm still having a good time. It's just not quite grabbing hold the way I had kind of hoped it might. But that's just me personally. I know that John's had a much better and enjoyable time.
Yeah, I've been going through it pretty quickly. I think I looked today and I'm a little bit over 10 hours in. And as I was kind of telling you in Discord, I think I've already had some other Mario characters arrive. So I think as you
that might help,
progress the story, you'll find some more familiarity with the characters. I do like the game itself, the colors and the music,
mm-hmm.
like
the animation is top notch.
They hit everything. It's great. I like how easy it is to get from place to place. I know there were some talks about having to backtrack and kind of detracting from it, but honestly, I haven't had most of the backtracking is optional. So you can choose to, and you can also do it all at one time, or you can do it as you go. Mm-hmm. So it's been pretty good, pretty easy to navigate. So I'm enjoying it. I hope to get at least the majority of the way through it. Depending on how far I get in, I might not put it down for Dragon Quest III, but that'll be very hard to do.
That's my deadline. I know however far I get, I will put it down because Dragon Quest will take priority.
I mean,
there's not
if
much
I'm
else.
5 hours away, then I'll probably go ahead and finish it.
I will not be even close to that. So I will be putting it down for Dragon Quest, but I do plan on picking it back up.
Awesome.
You know what?
What about
Mario
you, Sam?
and Luigi. You know what? This is just a random thought, but you know what the Mario and Luigi series needs is Wario and Waluigi.
Yes.
Either like segments where you play as them, kind of like Bowser's Inside Story, you played as Bowser, or just make them like a recurring boss fight where like they have their own like worse versions of bro moves and stuff.
Yes.
It'd be
That
great.
sounds amazing.
Just, that series like style of humor, I think, is begging to utilize Wario and Waluigi in some way.
Yeah.
As well.
Your bro moves
think they
could
would-
consist of garlic and flatulence. Like,
Yeah. I think they would play really well into it.
That would be kind of fun. I like that.
It's weird that these days even Wario rarely shows up in like actual Mario games. He's always doing his own thing.
Yeah.
He just shows up to play sports and party.
I still feel like they've kind of just put Waluigi out on an island. They don't use. He gets to do Mario Party. He gets to do Mario Kart, and that's about it.
It's kind of always
Tennis,
been that way
golf,
for him.
Yeah,
And DDR for some reason.
DDR.
He's like the main villain of Mario DDR, I think.
Well, maybe he just
Or like
needs
the
his own
first
DDR
villain.
game.
Maybe. Yeah, as I was saying, not to get too derailed. We have our whole family of podcasts. Just a little bit of housekeeping to keep you up to date on that. As I mentioned, Retro Groove new episode coming soon. Film Logic had a episode on the last Venom movie. So you can check that out, their review and discussion of that. What was the last Star Wars Dads, Shannon?
About a week ago, we put out an episode. We just kind of went through a few different news items. There wasn't a whole lot of news right now. We're just kind of waiting for Skeleton Crew, which is the next Disney Plus Star Wars show. I'm very much looking forward to it because it really does look like they're trying to take Star Wars and put it in a 80s childhood movie like Goonies or E.T. and things like that. So I'm 100% here for that. Looks like a fun adventure, and I hope it pans out. So I'm pretty optimistic.
John, anything new with On Topic Retro?
Yeah, so what was that, last week? Put out a episode on the Minish Cap, or was that 2 weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but it was since we've done an episode of this show.
Yes.
So
yes.
Minish Cap episode is out there. Tomorrow I'll be recording a Ninja Gaiden episode with Adam and Shoner Todd from Discord. The two guys that made it the further. Actually, no, I think Shoner Todd did say that he did finally beat the game on original hardware as well. So,
Wow.
two guys that beat the game on original hardware. They're the only two guys I know personally that have beat the game on original hardware, even so many years later. So those guys are who I consider the most expert. So they will be on the show to talk about it, and I'll talk about the first stage that I played a lot of times.
I have cleared the game in the past, but that was on WiiWare, so I believe I did use save states.
Yeah. If you play it on the Switch, you can use Rewind even. But, yeah. Then after that episode, I think we'll be doing, I can't decide. We're either going to do a Echoes of Wisdom episode that's just going to get shoehorned in the middle of the series, or we're going to do Twilight Princess. I kind of am leaning towards Echoes of Wisdom because we most recently played it. And that also gives me a little bit of time to look back into Twilight Princess before we do that episode. With all these things that are coming through the pipeline, it's harder to find time to go revisit an old game. But that's
okay.
basically what we got going on.
And for my part, the streams have been continuing. So Battle Network 5, just about ready to finally put a wrap on that. I'll probably have one more stream on it next week.
Nice. One more thing I forgot. Retro Rewind Champions. We do have a contest going on for Mario Golf 64. It's a speed golf challenge. I believe it's the Toad Highlands is the course, just the very first course. I set it up that way because apparently you have to play quite a bit of time to get points to unlock the next course in speed golf. So we're just going to do the first one. That way we get the most people to play it. And I believe we only have one entry so far, so it's still wide open. Probably leave that open at least for a couple more weeks just so we can get some more participation. I think there's just been too many things going on for people to hop in there, and it only takes like 15 minutes, I promise, to go in there and do a round of speed golf. 20 minutes tops if you're just not very fast.
20 minutes can win you $10.
Yeah, 20 minutes can win $10.
$10. That's not bad.
I don't want to. I know that Chris HL has submitted a time. I don't know if I want to put his time in the episode because I don't remember how good it is. So we'll just leave it at that. You might beat him, you might not.
That's right.
Okay, well, that's what's happening around the community, and now it's time for our game of Price is Retro. So, if this is your first time playing along at home, this is how we play The Price is Retro. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everyone will guess on how much the lot is worth in total. Whoever is closest to the actual value wins the round. Everyone has a list, everyone guesses on each other's list. At the end, the player that wins the most rounds wins the episode. But we have our artificial intelligence players, the ghost, the dinosaur, and the robot, who have been performing better than usual this season as they teamed up together. So we'll have to see if we can defeat them once again. With that said, John, would you like to go first?
Sure. I will start this out by saying that I made a Dan list. I did pick a word and throw it into price charting. I did try to do an actual Dan list. I put Dan in price charting, and there are no games that have Dan's name in them that I could find. So I just looked really quickly, and I had Alpha Protocol in front of me, so I chose Alpha. So all these games have the word Alpha in them. And Alpha Protocol is not one of them because it's not a very high dollar game. The first game on my list is Keith Courage in Alpha Zones for the TurboGrafx 16, Loose.
Okay.
The second game is Street Fighter Alpha 2 for the Sega Saturn, complete in box.
Ugh.
The third game is Sector Alpha for the ColecoVision, Loose. And the fourth game is Starblade Alpha for the PlayStation, complete in box.
Okay. Shannon, you have first guess.
All right. I have 180.
Okay, I've got 260. A little bit of a difference there.
Yeah. I just have no clue reference point for that Sega Saturn.
Yeah, it's
box.
complete too, so...
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm trying to throw the ones in for the dinosaur. Okay. So, okay, the total of my lot is $237.62.
That should be Sam.
So I think that's me, right? Unless it's the Dino.
So
I beat
the
Shannon,
Dino,
I beat the Ghost.
the Dino came up at 190. So you beat the Dino.
All right.
So Sam is the winner.
Round me.
Off
All
by
right.
$22.38.
What's the breakdown?
So the breakdown of my list, Keith Courage and Alpha Zones for the TurboGrafx loose, $12.84. Street Fighter Alpha 2 for the Sega Saturn complete in box, $80.06. Sector Alpha for the ColecoVision loose, $58.73.
That was definitely higher than expected.
Yeah. And then Starblade Alpha for the PlayStation complete in box, $85.99.
That was also higher than I expected.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I figured I actually thought Alpha 2 would be more. Because especially it being like there's 3 Alpha games, so like you got to think the one in the middle probably sold the least.
Yeah.
Just because it had a very short lifespan between Alpha 1 and Alpha 3.
I was kind of wondering if the loose TurboGrafx game would throw you off, but it's actually a really cheap TurboGrafx game.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I
one
knew
was pretty close on that one.
because that was I don't think wasn't that a pack-in at some point?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I know they did sell it separately.
It was like either that or Bonk is what like everybody had.
Yep.
Now, if you had said that one completed
all the TurboGrafx fans say like it should have been Blazing Lasers instead. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
But they can't give you blazing lasers. Come on. They're going to make you pay for it. You put your okay game in the package with it.
Your list is next.
All right. So I was actually randomly watching an episode of Captain N, the Game Master. And as you do, of course. And it got me thinking about the fact that there's a lot of like random and odd Nintendo games that are referenced in those beyond like the normal that everybody knows, Kid Icarus, Mega Man, those ones you see, Castlevania, that's the other one I was thinking of. So I've got the games that you probably were not aware were referenced in Captain N in an episode. These are all NES, and to make it fun, they're all complete in box.
Nice.
First one is Paperboy, which incidentally, in my research, found out that at one point that Paperboy was going to be the hero of the series in some of the early drafts for the show.
I mean, the game was really popular when it released.
Yeah.
So.
It's still a favorite of mine. Next one is Wizards and Warriors.
Yeah.
The third one, believe it or not, Bo Jackson's Baseball. There was references to that.
Nice.
Fourth one is Burger Time. And the last one, Marble Madness. Some of these were actually even represented by different lands they went to.
Yeah.
In the show. So
Okay.
there's some obscure ones out there.
I will go first, and my guess is 220.
I'm going to say, let's do 190.
So Sam seems unbeatable today. Total price $217.40.
Wow. Yeah, I guess
today.
I guess I've got this game locked down. My list is next, so but 2-0.
I can't imagine that
you
anything
can get a
beat that,
closer
so.
guess.
Yeah, because you definitely you beat the Dino, and the robot would have been closer to the middle of our guesses. So
So breakdown, Paperboy, 58.06. Wizards and Warriors, $45. Bo Jackson Baseball, $25.54. Burger Time, $53.80. And Marble Madness, $35. Which is not terrible for a pretty decent game. Complete
Marble
in
Madness
box
is great.
Yeah. So
I think I enjoy it more in the arcade. So
yeah, having that rollerball
yeah,
to play it
helps.
It definitely helps.
Some
sure.
games really benefit from a particular style of controller for sure.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the ball versus a D-pad. I'll take that any day.
Although I will say that my best friend growing up, Matt, man, he was really, really good at Marble Madness on the NES, and I could never figure out how he got it to so accurate with that D-pad. It's amazing. Amazing.
All right. Well, for the silver medal, we have my list. These are all complete. They do vary by platform. So I have In Your Face for the Game Boy. And again, that's complete in box. Eternal Eyes for the PlayStation, complete in box. Big Nose the Caveman for the NES, complete in box.
Wait a
And
minute, I think I see what you're doing.
Lastly, Lips for the Xbox 360, complete in box. Incidentally, I could not find a game with the word ear in the title.
Oh, man.
That is somewhat complicated by the fact that searching such brings up all the Guilty Gear and Metal Gear and Gears of War games because...
Man, I don't know. I thought Big Nose is a pretty valuable game. Could be thinking wrong, though. I guess I have to go first. I'm going to guess 320.
320. Okay.
I had 330.
320,
So.
330. Okay. So the total is $106.57.
Oh, gosh.
I was thinking...
So I think that goes to
a...
one of our terrible trio.
Yeah.
Probably the dinosaur. If nothing else, the ghost is closer
what was the
than
total?
you guys. 106.57.
So I take it that Big Nose is not as valuable as I thought.
Big Nose the Caveman price charting lists at $43.02.
I could have sworn that was more expensive too.
There is a sequel. I did not see what that is.
Especially complete in box for some reason. I was thinking that was more. I was guessing.
Okay, yeah.
$90.
Big Nose Freaks Out complete in box is $237.96.
Oh, well, yeah,
probably
that's
thinking of the
it.
sequel.
No,
Big
I probably
Nose
was
Freaks
thinking of
Out.
something. God darn it!
The first Big Nose, though, not so pricey.
That does go to the Dino, unfortunately.
Dino takes one. Yeah, usually if it's in the hundreds, that's where he falls. If you're listing for 4 or 5 games,
especially if they're older games,
between 100 and 200.
Yeah, if you get up to like the PS3, whenever games are already get up to $60,
60, even 70.
He gets up into the PS5s.
Mm-hmm. What were the rest of the breakdown? Yeah,
the full breakdown. Eternal Eyes, $16.59. I don't know if I've used this in Price is Retro before, but I've talked about this game a lot. One day I'll find somebody else who's played this game. Just not even that great, but one of those like bargain bin finds, and I'm like, this is actually a game I like. Big Nose the Caveman, again, $43.02. In Your Face for the Game Boy, $39.49. And Lips, $7.47.
All dirt cheap. Go buy all those games.
Pretty much. Yeah, especially, Loose, I think they're all really dirt cheap. Let's see, if I flip all these to Loose, the total becomes $35.88.
So that
All right.
was Sam's first win.
The first one. Wow.
Well, no, you won that. No, that was your first win since the first episode of this season.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I have 2 wins this season. I think Shannon's still leading, right?
Yes. Actually, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's beating the Rampage by 1.
Woo. All right.
And Dan and I
was
have
off
1
tonight.
apiece.
I was off
One apiece.
tonight. Got to get back on my A game.
You'll get the next one.
As long as we defeat Rampage, we're good.
Yes. Do it for humanity.
That's right. We ready for some trivia?
Yes.
do it.
All right, back to a trivia card today. This one, I'm very curious if you guys will get this first one. What is the name of the race of insect aliens in the 1984 game Elite?
I have no clue.
I know that I've heard of this game, but I've never played it.
Insect aliens.
Yeah.
The
Okay, I mean, is it something obvious like the Hive or the Brood?
Unfortunately, no. Like, this is very
Okay.
specific knowledge. This is
Yeah,
not
no idea.
guess your way to an answer. Thergoids. Thargoids.
Oh,
you
those
know what?
guys.
Is this... Because I've played Elite Dangerous, which I think is tied back to that.
Oh.
So I technically might have been able to draw that out of the depths of my memory, but yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty specific.
Not,
it's not pretty
not until prompted.
That's right. All right. Here we go. This one should be a little bit easier for us. In what year did the Nintendo Wii launch?
2006, right?
Is it 6? I didn't get one until 2007, but I think that was late. So yeah, 6.
Yeah, most people couldn't find one until 2007, but
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
2006 is when it came out, yes. I
Yeah, I
remember
remember.
standing in line at Target early morning, day of release.
I had to think about how old I was when I got a Wii, which is somewhat easy for me to remember. It's the first console I bought 100% with my own money. And that was kind of a big deal, too, because I wasn't even old enough to work yet. I was 15 in 2007. So it was literally like a year's worth of, like, I didn't spend my birthday money. I didn't spend my Christmas money. I saved like 5 months of allowance, and I was like, I have enough for a Wii. You know? So
Nice.
then I had to find one.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I think I was 20 when the Wii came out.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
passed
have
up.
kids. Jeez.
I passed it up and didn't buy one until 2009.
Mm.
I waited for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one. I think that was the only one that console that I ever actually like waited in line like the morning of. And it was one of those things like, I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. Then I had just kind of woke up during the middle of the night and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll do it. And so I was like, I'll try. And I went to Target and there was a line already. This is probably like 4:30 in the morning. And it was cold because it was November. It was a November release and it was really cold. And so I'm kind of standing there and then somebody comes out and it's like, well, we have, I can't remember how many systems he said. I think he said like, we have 20 systems. And so I quickly counted and I was like 18th in line. I was like, okay, well, all right.
I'll stay.
So, yep.
I
remember,
remember,
and then I was worried about getting a Wii U. And
then it was
so I
easy.
got that one pre-ordered.
Not a problem. Right?
And there was no problem getting that.
Yeah, I remember I bought my Wii at Circuit City when they were going out of business. And it was just a my wife, we were in there, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to get this? Because it's like half off. Like they're just getting rid of it." And the Wii was already $100, I think, by then in 2009, and so it was like $50. So it was just like a surprise purchase. I was like, "All right, we'll buy it." And
Nice.
I think it came with, and I think I bought Mario Kart that they had there also half off. So I think for what, $75, I got a Wii and Mario Kart for the Wii.
That's pretty good.
Rest in peace, Circuit City.
Yep.
Kind of surprised the Best Buy has lasted as long as it has, with it being pretty much another Circuit City.
Have you been to a Best Buy lately, though? I don't think it can last much longer.
Yeah, I don't think
there's nothing on the shelves.
Listen, guys, you're worrying me because it's one of the few places I could still do a pre-order and get it that day because I can go pick it up.
This is true.
Yeah, I've used it for that. I get stuff shipped to me.
It's where I'm getting Dragon Quest
these days, though.
It's where I'm getting Dragon Quest from.
I think I am too.
So.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, we'll be back after a short break, and we'll get to our show topic for the night, which is Nintendo Music. Nintendo made a music app. What's it missing? Find out when we come back. Welcome back, and tonight we're talking about Nintendo Music, our thoughts on the app, and specifically what we think would best be used to fill out the catalog on there, because it's a little thin, I think, based on launch. They're definitely doing the Nintendo Switch Online thing, which is to drip feed stuff. They just added something like today, didn't they?
Yeah,
Wii Sports.
Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wii Sports was just added today. So that, I mean, it's definitely not like we're going to be waiting a long time to get something else, but it's going to be like Nintendo Switch Online. There's going to be people who want one thing, and every time it gets an update that's not that thing, they're going to complain, and, welcome to
I can't wait for the
world.
Bring Earthbound music to...
Earthbound music might have some issues, too.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
Yeah.
There are some pretty good tracks in it, though.
We can jump right into that, but I guess before we jump into specific, tracks that are missing or ones that we like, do you guys have any specific thoughts on the app? Do you actually use it much?
I've been using it. I was doing my, I'm hoping, final lawn mow of the year this past weekend, and I finished up the podcasts that I had in my queue, and as well as the audiobook I had been working on. And I was like, what should I listen to? And I was like, oh yeah. So I threw on, they have some mixes within the app, that some Nintendo created mixes that actually were pretty competent. I think the app itself is actually fairly intuitive and modern. It kind of surprises me given the Nintendo, just whatever the Nintendo app is, whatever it's called, I can't remember now. The one that they have for like playing multiplayer and all that kind of stuff, which is just not always the most
Switch
intuitive and
not always utilized. Well, I think it's actually underutilized, so to speak. Like the best thing they could do about having an app is actually let me get invites through the app. That way, when I'm not on my Switch, I can be like, oh, Shannon and John want to play Dokapon Kingdom. And then I can drop everything in my life and play Dokapon Kingdom, because that's what I would do. But, that for some reason, that's like that would actually justify having a separate app for it.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
The music app, the sound quality, listening to it on headphones and stuff like that is really, really good. anything from the Nintendo and the Game Boy all the way up through the modern.
Yeah, it's high quality, and that's one of the things that, like, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say people have no right to criticize the selection being what it is, but I do wonder, like, this is going to be kind of difficult for people, because at the same time, this may lead to, like, renewed Nintendo pursuing, you know, takedowns on all the YouTube channels and people who...
Yeah.
It's definitely, like, you can say fair use all you want. Nintendo doesn't care. They're going to take it down. They're going to shut you down. And they have more interest in doing so. Because, you know, for a long time, it's been like, look, they should just look the other way, because it's not like they're actually providing this through some paid service. Now they are, but of course there's still a bunch of stuff that's not on there.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could be eventually, you know, much like emulating games. It's one of those things that comes with the territory of, it's good to have this stuff. But Nintendo as a company too is not going to be able to take the liberties that people who, you know, basically don't care whether they're breaking the law or not will take as well.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one thing, that there's a lot of stuff I think we'd like to see added, just like we'd like to see added to NSO, that Nintendo, it's not their decision alone to make, right? That's why Chrono Trigger's not on NSO, right? They have to talk to Square about that. And Square has their own, you know, things they want from that. So really, I don't know if we'll actually see stuff that isn't Nintendo first party on there. It could be, you know, just like NSO gets some stuff. They could make some phone calls, make a deal. But I don't, especially with this, I don't know what kind of, if they'd even be able to offer much compensation to, say, you know, Capcom to put Mega Man music on there.
A lot of those
as
other companies,
like that,
their music's already on like Spotify and stuff.
Sure.
So like they don't have any reason to give to Nintendo to put on their app, really. Until something like that does happen, I would just assume this is going to be first party music only.
Yeah.
Or we'll start getting all those, you know, games that everybody always complains about coming to NSO. Maybe some of
Give
those
us the Eliminator Boat Duel soundtrack. I would, you know, Eliminator Boat Duel's got some jams.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't think the soundtrack stands out as much as the game itself.
I mean, honestly, I would be surprised if they even had like 5% of their first party soundtracks on there right now. So
no, it's not a lot. Yeah, it's like one or two games from each series, really.
Yeah, they've got a long way to go before they even cap that out. So
they do keep that dripping for a while.
Yeah. There are some odd choices before we dive into too much of what we feel is missing. I do think it's weird that, like, the way they organize some of the stuff is like, all right, like if you want to select a character and like music associated with a character, and they have like Pauline, and I love Pauline, but that's pretty much Jump Up Superstar, and yet there's no you can't select Donkey Kong as a character, even though there is several Donkey Kong soundtracks on there. You can't select Link. You can select Zelda, but you can't select Link.
That's a horrible way to do it anyway. The best way I found is to sort it by platform.
Yeah.
That way you can just go to you're like, I want to listen to like some Wii music, and then you can go to that.
The times I've used it, it's generally been by the actual game or soundtrack. I mean, like Wii is a soundtrack there. It's Wii channels. But I mean, I don't know. I guess that makes me old, but even though I'm the youngest here, other people are probably like, when I listen to Spotify, I usually look for full albums. You know, that's not very millennial of me, I guess. But you know, I still do things that way sometimes.
I do often too. Like I said,
I also have just a list of favorite songs on shuffle a lot of the time. Too.
Yeah. And you can do that on here. So I think the app itself is It's
and having characters is kind of fun. It's just that there's some that it works for and some that it doesn't. Like the Bowser list is like, okay, yeah, like there's different stuff here, and it's all definitely Bowser, and it's curated in a way that you wouldn't really get from just like, listing stuff out other ways. Right. But yeah, there's some characters that just isn't enough, and they put them on there anyway. But as for the app itself,
get the Birdo
I think the main things that bother me is, maybe it's just me, but I would like to have a desktop version, just because I work be nice. I work on a computer a lot, and it's just a hassle for me to like pair Bluetooth to my headphones or whatever. Or even just to be able to get it through my better speakers. I wear headphones a lot though, so I can do that. As well as when I'm in the car. I don't know how other cars work, but Android Auto doesn't like recognize this as an app, because I have like the buttons on my steering wheel to like skip tracks and stuff. I can do that with Spotify. I can do that with even some other like open source media player apps. I cannot do it with the Nintendo app. If I want to change the track, I gotta like actually pick up my phone. Which
I can
isn't
do it,
safe
but
to do while
mine
you're
is
driving.
just right. Mine's just connected just through Bluetooth. Like I just have mine connected to my car
and I can connect it, but I don't have any like additional ways to control it except through the phone directly.
I think in my car, I can still control it just like any.
Yeah, maybe
be
I just don't know how to set it up correctly. But it could be an Android thing. It could be a GM thing. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know if that's going to change. Maybe it will. I mean, apps get changes a lot. Heck, Android Auto breaks every other update, so it's
they'll
just
break
one of the
when they try
things.
to add Nintendo music to it.
Yep, probably. But that said, anything come to mind that you'd like to see specifically?
Can we get some Xenoblade music, please?
Xenoblade, yes, please.
Hey, it's the one thing I will admit is good about Xenoblade. That's the preferred way to experience Xenoblade, is to listen to a soundtrack. You don't have to actually play the game.
I think I'm still a little sour that it didn't win. That Xenoblade 3 didn't win Best Soundtrack, because the soundtrack for Xenoblade
I'm still
3
surprised Smash Bros didn't win Best Soundtrack, but that's kind of cheating, because you just took the best songs from everything.
Yeah,
but still.
On that note, though, all of the Smash Bros things, which I don't know, actually. I mean, yes, Smash is first party, but there was a huge team assembled for that, and it may have been that these people that did these new arrangements, the licensing of that may have been, hey, this is just for Smash Bros. Obviously, like, they released the soundtrack as I think you could get a CD of it, right?
Yeah, I have that. If you bought the Wii at least with the Wii, I'm sorry, the Wii U and 3DS, I know. Yes. If you bought both of those,
I have that one.
Yes, but I don't know that they released one for Ultimate. Did they?
I don't know if they released the disc version.
I think you would just have to carry your Switch around, because you could play it.
Great music arrangements of all this stuff from like, if they just dumped the whole Smash soundtrack, that would fill out this app. If they can, but again, I don't know, because there's a lot of people involved in that, and they may have to get everyone's permission, right?
Right.
So,
because then
maybe
you're also
that's why it's
talking
not
about
there.
Sonic music. You're talking about
well, even
Pac-Man
even if you kept out all the non-Nintendo characters, that's still like you had different composers coming in from different companies making new arrangements of like Donkey Kong tracks. So I don't know if Nintendo would have permission to use that even.
At the same time, it would seem very odd of Nintendo not to think of those things, to be like, yeah, these belong to us now. Like, just straight up from the get-go.
What kind of contract did people sign?
Right.
And if the contract says nothing about it, then how do you go about it? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Right. I'm not Nintendo's business person.
There is a web browser version of the Smash Ultimate soundtrack that Nintendo has up.
Oh.
I mean, it's not all encompassing, I doubt. I'm not seeing like everything here, but I believe this is also a Nintendo UK website.
Huh.
So that might be why it's still up. Because I don't know if they have the music app in the UK or not. That'd be a question for Jason.
Yeah, I agree. I had written down Xenoblade 2, though. Getting back to that. Xenoblade, Smash Brothers. I would also love to see... I'm a big fan of chip music, you know, so I would love to get more older stuff on there. It's pretty limited. You know, NES is represented by like Super Mario Brothers, which, while catchy and well known those songs are,
it's not the best to listen
that's
to.
not even the best. I mean, Super Mario Brothers 2 and specifically Super Mario Brothers 3, hands down, have the best Mario music of that generation. So I would love to see more of that kind of stuff. So Super Mario Bros. 3, the Zelda, like, why do you not have the original Zelda soundtrack?
That's what I was just going to look and see if they had it.
They do not. Zelda 2 is some of the best.
I think it's just
music.
Ocarina of Time, right? That's all they have.
And
for
Breath
Zelda.
of the Wild.
Oh,
and Twilight Princess.
Oh, I didn't realize Twilight Princess was on
And I believe Wind Waker actually too.
I guess I didn't.
Or maybe it's not
enough.
Twilight Princess. Maybe it's Skyward Sword. It might be Skyward Sword. Now that I'm.
It is crazy. They have the Metroid from the disc system. They have that version, that soundtrack, which I listened to quite a bit today.
Which is pretty good.
Yes, I'm surprised that they went that deep.
I was just gonna say I could do a search for it. So Zelda, yeah. Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time,
no Wind Waker.
Oh, no Wind Waker, and no. I could have sworn there was Skyward Sword when I was playing this earlier, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's just Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild right now. So. I mean, obviously, any Zelda game, like, just pop them all up there because
Zelda has great music. Right?
I need Link to the Past, but man, Zelda 2, those tracks in Zelda 2 are some of my favorites for the original NES. Also, I'd love to see within some of the newer stuff, like. Man, those Donkey Kong Country, specifically Tropical Freeze, has some really good music. Unfortunately, I'm not real good about naming tracks, as I know other people might be. But that soundtrack's really good. Donkey Kong Country Returns, with the game coming out, the re-release coming out in January, maybe we'll see that come to the system.
The only Fire Emblem they have is the Blazing Blade from Game Boy Advance, which is not anywhere near the best Fire Emblem soundtrack.
No.
Like,
almost anything
Three
Game
Houses
Boy Advance is not going to be the best.
Yeah,
that you could pick.
Yeah, agreed.
I was looking earlier too. Do they have? Is Animal Crossing All New Horizons?
Yes.
That's all I saw. Yeah.
Yep.
I would really like to see GameCube Animal Crossing. I do think Animal Crossing's music has changed quite a bit. So it just, I want to get the whole breadth of it. And I think that is sort of, it's something that kind of fills out the selection. Cause I think, there's like the high energy stuff. You get a lot of that in the 8-bit stuff too, but like I think if you want people to use the app more, having the kind of music you just kind of put on in the background, which Animal Crossing I think is really good for, versus maybe the really memorable Zelda tracks or or what have you. Obviously, we mentioned Earthbound. Earthbound is one I don't know if I'd expect. There was a lot of speculation. The reason the game wasn't coming to NSO was because of music. That seems to have been debunked. It could still be the case with Mother 3. I know that has a lot of, like quotations and riffs and things that might put it in somewhat questionable legal territory. And also, the soundtrack of Earthbound is owned by Columbia Records, which is part of Sony. So that's just like crazy. A whole other thing.
That I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's
well,
crazy.
At the very least, that's the case for you can actually find it on Spotify, the Mother Music Revisited, which is a great listen, by the way.
So I just counted. There's only 26 albums on the whole app.
26, yeah.
Out of
so
I wonder how many first party games there are.
Yeah, they got a long way to go.
Yeah, one of the first things they added was Donkey Kong Country 2, I think, which is like, that should have been there. We still don't have 3, and I think 3 is great too.
Yeah.
The soundtrack, there's only 2. Everything in 3 kind of gets overlooked. But
there's only one Game Boy Advance game and one GameCube game. That's it.
Yeah. But 2 regular Game Boy games.
Long way to go.
We darned if we don't have 2. And I thought it was weird that one of the Game Boy games was Dr. Mario, when the NES has better sound. Would have been a better choice for soundtrack.
If you're gonna put Game Boy on there, make it stuff that's exclusive to Game Boy.
Right.
Solar Striker's got. I mean, there's only like 4 tracks, but.
But they're good.
That's how it is with. There's a couple one-track wonders I would like to see that are maybe more deep cuts, but come on, we need the Codename Steam sing along. We need it. I don't. You don't even need the rest of the soundtrack. I don't even remember the rest of the soundtrack, but the sing along version of the main theme that plays like after you beat the game is just needs to be on every playlist just to make people listen to it.
I also want
to hear that come on in the middle of everything. Just citizens, look around.
I need Virtual Boy Wario Land.
Ooh. Yeah. Things like stuff like that. But even I was just thinking Wario Land made me remember like Six Golden Coins has got a pretty good soundtrack.
There's lots of good soundtracks.
That would have been a good Game Boy one. And we'll probably still see a lot of these. I do think it's interesting that we are getting like Wii music like from like
I think that's the
Wii. I mean,
that spot.
Definitely hits a certain vibe that I think
does.
I think that needed to be there day one.
Well, I think a certain demographic that is, I mean,
going to be using this app.
People are nostalgic for it by this point.
Yep.
Something that is interesting too is they gave us the Tomodachi collection from the DS, which is only Japanese. So I'd be interested to get like some Japanese game soundtracks in here, like that are Japan only. Some other ones.
Yeah.
Just because it's always nice to hear a soundtrack that you didn't get to listen to ever.
Well, yeah, like the Disk System stuff.
Yeah.
Too. And another one that's really just for one thing is Odama. You know I love some Odama. But the credit song is near and dear to my heart because of just how out of nowhere it is. Like the rest of the Odama soundtrack is very minimal. It's like just drums. But you beat the game, the credits play, and what basically sounds like the intro to a James Bond movie just starts playing. And it's just look it up sometime. Just look up Odama credits. It's something. I just want that to be there.
I think some of the WarioWare music would be kind of fun to have on here too. But even bigger thing like Super Mario 3D World has got some really, really good music that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, Super Mario 3D World is great. Another one on the more modern side, I think Kid Icarus Uprising. There's a lot of, pretty much every stage has a unique composition, and it's fully like orchestrated, I believe, in most cases. So they put a lot of effort into that soundtrack. They should put it out there more, because I think that's a game that's a little more under the. I mean, Kid Icarus is not on the level of Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, obviously.
No, 3 games compared to a whole lot more. But yeah, I agree. I'm surprised there's not more Super Nintendo stuff too, just in general. I think like Mario World, I mean, obviously it's probably just a matter of time.
With most of them, yeah. I think Donkey Kong Country is one of the first things you put on there.
I agree.
Yeah. What do you think is next for Super Nintendo other than Mario World?
I think Nintendo goes out, they buy the rights to Plock, and we get Plock on NSO and the soundtrack in here at the same time, fulfilling all of our dreams.
They just need to buy everything Tim Follins ever done. Give us Pictionary for the NES. I know that's not Nintendo owned either, but Silver Surfer, why not?
Yes. Those have no right to be such. Yeah, I know the games themselves are not great, but man, those soundtracks are just unbelievably good. I don't know. Like I said, Link to the Past is a no-brainer. Mario World. Yeah. The more I think about it, there's a lot of great soundtracks on the Super Nintendo, but most of them are not first party.
Yeah.
Like
even on the NES, like you talk about the most like beloved soundtracks. It's your Mega Man, it's your Castle. Like Konami and Capcom were really on fire at that point. Even something like Journey to Silius, which was pretty much just trying to be a Mega Man game in every way, and more or less succeeded. Like the sound and the gameplay,
pretty close.
So if sky's the limit, if we're gonna put any video game soundtrack on this thing, what do you think you would get?
Dragon Quest.
Okay, Dragon Quest. I can
all
see
of the Dragon Quest, but Dragon Quest 11 specifically, the orchestrated versions. I mean, that's something I throw on.
We need it.
Yep. And we'll listen to it. It's just so good, that orchestrated stuff. I think that would be my like ultimate go out there and get it goal. Maybe the Mega Man stuff, like
I mean it's just, and Mega Man has so much. I mean, I've been playing through all the Battle Network as I keep saying, and I'm surprised how good that is. I mean, it's very short loops, but I mean, for the GBA, it's one of the best sounding things on the GBA. It kind of leans into, I think when you have systems that are a little bit more limited in sound, you almost have to go with a more kind of electronic style. It's kind of that way with the Genesis too, I would say. But you talk about the X series, the classic series, of course, is probably the most well known. But the X series is great. Even the games in the X series that aren't good have good music. There's a lot there. Castlevania as well. I mean, those are just
Castlevania.
And if we at least get the Smash Bros stuff, I would love to have it all. But if you can get the Smash Bros, everything that was in Smash Bros, that gets a lot of the favorites out of the way.
Some of the Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 4, even some of the
they couldn't even get much of that for Smash.
No, I know.
That was Square came around. They delivered for the Kingdom Hearts stuff, right? When Sora came, but with Cloud, they're just like, yeah, you get you get 2 tracks from 7.
Right. Junk.
And they're the original tracks, no new mixes.
Remaster.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if we're shooting for the sky, the DuckTales stuff, which would never ever happen, but
yeah, let alone Capcom, talk to Disney,
right? The remastered when they did DuckTales, was it just called DuckTales Remastered?
Yes.
Okay. The DuckTales remastered stuff it would be great. But again, that's completely pie in the sky. There's zero chance of that happening. But that would be awesome.
There's too many good soundtracks out there.
Yeah.
I think we'll just have to take what they drip feed us.
Bomberman Hero. That's another one that just it is a very unique sound. Yeah, Bomberman in general, but
Super Bomberman.
Yeah.
As long as it's not the 64 Bombermans. I guess Bomberman Hero is 64, but
Bomberman Hero's it's an acquired taste too.
Yeah.
It's very like drum and bass.
Well, but the 64 just didn't have a very good sound.
Yeah.
Since none of it was dedicated to the actual system, it was all on the cartridge, like it was just never did have really great sound.
I think we'll probably eventually see more Pokemon showing up. As I have mentioned before, I'm not the world's biggest Pokemon game person. Not really into it, but the soundtracks, some of the soundtracks are pretty good listen.
Yeah.
Particularly just like as limited as the Game Boy was, like they really defined the sound of Pokemon really well in Red and Blue. And obviously it's become much more done a lot more things with it since, but I think that classic. Well, that's another thing that like I don't know they could actually do this since it branches out the games, but if you could just get the songs from the get the To Be a Master album on there, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like everybody had that in the 90s. Give us the Pokey Rap, give us the original intro theme. Like that definitely does hit a nostalgia chord in me. Like the Pokemon like music of the original run of the show with Pikachu's jukebox and all that. Like I think that would get a lot of people my age opening the app that day. Because again, I was in first grade the day like Pokemon hit the US, so I was definitely like right in the target audience. Like the first shared cultural experience I had with people outside my family.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that I'd also love to see more Mario Kart, but they do have Mario Kart 8. And I was just looking.
Mario Kart 8 is sort of
it has like 99 tracks.
The rest of Mario Kart. yeah.
I was like, there's already
started
99
bringing
tracks.
all the old tracks into it. So
that's it. That's just it. Like you look and there's like they already have the battle modes and the classic courses, and it's like, all right, yeah, they they have pretty much everything you could want from Mario Kart just in there. So
the rest of F-Zero is another good pick. F-Zero's got a very well defined soundtrack to it as well. X and GX especially though, because I think right now they just have SNES F-Zero, which is good. That should be there. Is Pilot Wings on there? Pilot Wings should be on there.
Nope.
So Pilot Wings is
where is
not
Pilot Wings?
And actually, F-Zero, it's not Super Nintendo
F-Zero's
one is not on here. There is no F-Zero on here.
No F-Zero.
There's no F-Zero. I swear I listened to
Star Fox
something F-Zero.
Star Fox 64. But Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2, Super Mario World 2. Why not Super Mario World 1? I don't know, but Super Mario World 2 are the only Super Nintendo games so far.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they didn't put Super Mario World 1 on there.
And I know people are going to dislike that I say this, but I actually prefer the soundtrack to Super Mario World than I do Yoshi's Island.
No, I'm right there with you. It's more iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I like Yoshi's Island, but
the music on it.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's still good.
Yeah. No, I think it's just the fact that Mario World was a pack-in and probably more definitely more played than 2 because I think it even sold better.
I do think Galaxy is one of the top choices, so it's good that was there.
That was a good
right
one.
Away.
Yep.
That music had to be there.
Sunshine's Galaxy not there, though, is it?
Sunshine's not there. The only GameCube game is Metroid Prime.
Maybe they're waiting until summer to put Sunshine on there. I don't know. Figure nobody wants to listen to Mario. It in the fall.
They just want to show Mario in a bathing suit again for the promotional.
Yeah,
make the world go crazy.
But so far I'd say it's a good start, but there's a lot to go, and we will get it. It's a no-brainer that we'll see this. At least we're getting multiple. We seem to be getting like a new game represented every few days. So, at least it's not like 1 or 2 a month so far.
And it is just nice to have an official source for this. That's game music there's a lot of people appreciate it, but it just, some games get soundtrack releases, but a lot don't. I think it's nice, and it's ultimately just wrapping it into the NSO subscription is probably the best way to do it. Because I don't know that I would subscribe to a separate thing for this. Even if it was real cheap, I'd just be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to find something else to listen to.
Waiting until they connect it to Alarmo.
Yeah, maybe.
So I can listen to it over Alarmo. Then maybe I'd get Alarmo.
I have mine, but I have not opened it. I might not ever.
Yeah. But yeah. So I think this will continue to develop, and I do appreciate them doing it, and the fact that it doesn't seem half-hearted. We didn't really touch on the whole credits controversy with it, but I'd say this is a pretty well done app, and like I said, the music itself is very high quality, so no complaints.
The credits thing is a little weird. Like, I could understand people being upset by not being there, but at the same time, I can also see that a lot of people wouldn't even look at them if they were.
Right.
Like, it's a music app. Like, you're there to listen to the music. If you want to know the composers and stuff, you'd go find it.
Well, I think in the app, it would actually be pretty nice to explore, other stuff by the same composer.
Mm-hmm.
If it had the capacity to
maybe
do that.
Maybe that will happen later. Maybe it'll become like a filter option and they'll add that in. But
yeah, supposedly this is just, it goes back to how everything was made. The expectations culturally and how laws are and things. It's, it's much more complicated than just, hey, this doesn't seem right to me. It's like, okay, well, somebody was hired to do this thing under certain conditions, and these were the conditions. And if you think that's a bad contract, then okay, but they still signed it. They were okay with it. They took the pay and they did the thing according to what they agreed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there was absolutely no way to find out, and this was the only way you could have had to, and it's not there, but
yeah, that's where it gets a little bit more like, if you're actively trying to say no, we don't acknowledge the person who actually made this.
Yeah,
it appeared,
I don't think they're going that far.
It appeared out of Mario's head one day.
Yeah. No, I mean, at the same time, it's like, I know it's text and like it's not going to bog the app down or anything, but it's just extra. It's more work. Like, somebody has to put into developing it.
Well, and in a lot of them, it might have been bits and pieces from a different team too. So it's like,
it might be hard to pinpoint down who actually
everybody?
did it.
Does that even make sense to do?
I think it kind of gets a little bit messy, but I'm not going to hate the app because it doesn't have everyone listed in there or anyone listed, whatever. But I'm not opposed to them doing it either. But
yep. Well, any closing thoughts?
I'm excited to see what they keep
bringing.
Anybody
else in favor of somehow inexplicably dumping the entirety of the Armored Core soundtracks on there so we can see all the weird names of everything on there, like Monkey Likes Daddy and Morning Lemon Tea and Milk. The tracks, I just had to throw that out there because the tracks of Armored Core soundtracks follow no rhyme or reason, and it's great. But especially the early ones. With that said, we do have a little community couch follow-up from our last episode on Mario Party. Quite a lot of people chimed in with their thoughts on the Mario Party franchise, and we didn't get all of it in before the episode, so we're going to pick up with that. I've got the Discord open, and we have this from Your Wallet's defense attorney, also known as Flightsy. Said, I liked the last time my brother ever played with me because it was Mario Party 6, and we were on EGAD's lab, and he got one space away from the star, and the stage rotated so he couldn't get it. And I won the game by a landslide, and he's refused to play since. It was really funny, though. I think everybody has a story like that, whether it happened to you or to someone else. If you play Mario Party, that's what Mario Party is all about.
Just when you think you're going to get the star, something happens.
Yes.
Or someone steals it from you.
I had a game in Jamboree. I played online, and I had a 4-star swing on the last turn, and went from a neck-and-neck match to absolutely crushing everyone.
Wow. Yeah, it can happen. That's Mario Party. It's Mario Party.
The only rules is that it's Mario Party. Anything can happen.
And usually will.
Do you guys want to read Adam's comment?
I can do that. I got it up here. So it looks like Adam was kind of responding to Dan was very clear about his disdain for Mario Party 5 not having Donkey Kong as a playable character. Adam replied, Mario Party 5 is probably the one I have the most time logged into and my favorite. My brother and friends and I love the mini mech game. Also have great memories of Mario Party 4, that Bowser bomb game with the plungers. Stressful. So these are, of course, the ones that we had the least amount of experience with. You guys hadn't played any, and I can't remember which one of the 3 that were on GameCube I played. So I don't remember these mini games, but yeah. I kind of want to check it back out. I need a Mario Party compilation.
We should have invited Adam on the show for that one.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I think Solo had the next one. The next couple things were just kind of responses to that.
About Donkey Kong.
Okay, so Solo says, memory is my family all laughing together as we played the mini games, especially the one punching each other for camera time. Great moments of all of us together as one.
I think that was the first one on Switch. Superstars?
Super Mario Party.
Or Super Mario Party. Yeah.
Slapperazzi. That's the name of the game.
Slapperazzi.
Yes, that was actually a favorite. My kids really liked that one too.
I appreciate good puns, so I can remember a lot of these game names because they're all puns.
That one was kind of fun because you just never quite knew when the picture was going to go, and then you'd have to be quick. You push each other to try to get the most of your character in the picture. So that was solid. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Purple Riolu said, I feel like it's never talked about enough, so I have to say Mario Party 8 is my favorite one by far. The boards each have their own personality and interesting aspects to them. Very solid mini games. But really, Koopa's Tycoon Town is just perfection to me. I've played a 50-turn round of it and would gladly do it again. It's like an afternoon of Monopoly, but infinitely better. That does sound fun.
Turns.
You know how I love Monopoly.
How many hours?
I've heard about this Koopa Tycoon. I think it's been brought up a couple times.
I think I mentioned it.
I've never played Mario Party 8, so I just don't have a reference point for it.
That's about the only thing from that one that I really remember.
I've mentioned before that, like, for some reason I love video game like Monopoly when it's Monopoly with a lot of other video gamey stuff happening. Not when it's just Monopoly. Just Monopoly is boring. But when you got Fortune Street, Dokapon Kingdom, Cold Sept, it's great.
Yeah, you're not buying
we need a
Monopoly
Cold
on
Sept
Switch.
on Switch. We need Cold Sept on Switch. I'm telling you, that game is incredible. It is Monopoly meets Magic the Gathering, and it's great.
Yeah, I keep meaning to look that one up after you've talking about it before.
I finally have a copy of the 3DS game. Thanks to Zach.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. The thing is, it's a game that really hasn't changed much. Like, it's kind of iterations
Since the
of the same
PS2
thing.
era?
Yeah. Well, since the Saturn, I think, is where it started.
Did it? Okay. It's even earlier.
Yeah. But I don't know if the Saturn one released outside Japan.
Yeah, I think it was
Japan there's
only
like 3 North American releases. I think it's the PS2, the 360, and the 3DS. And the 3DS one came out after the Switch. So, yeah, they're due for another one. I'm just saying. And that's one, like, I wouldn't even be mad if they did like a free to play or something, because it is like a collectible card aspect to it. So I think that works. That makes sense. Just don't get too greedy with it. But, like, there's cards that have been the same in every game, right? Like, I think they actually need to, like, reinvigorate it a little. That's what I'd like to see. But, yeah, who knows? Anyway, that's Cold Sept. I could talk about Cold Sept for a while. But we have another comment from
one
Bozo.
more, I think. Bozo said, Mario Party 6, Castaway Bay, house rules. Only Klepto orbs are allowed to be purchased, which sends the players back to the start if landed upon. The board is linear and the star is always in the fixed position, so chaos ensues.
That's a good way to make it last for a long time.
I don't know if I like the linear boards, though. There's usually at least one in every Mario Party. They're never my favorite.
Is there one in Jamboree?
Yeah, they brought back Mario's Rainbow Castle.
I haven't
from
played
the first
that one
game
yet.
It's
right.
a return board, yeah. But that's the one where you get to the end. I think it always alternates. They might have changed it so it's random. And either you get a star or you get Bowser at the end.
Huh.
I haven't played that one. I'll have to try it. So, thank you everybody for your Community Couch input on Mario Party. We appreciate that.
And that's a wrap for the episode. So, yeah, we always appreciate hearing from you, and we do our best to add the community input because it really adds a lot. So if you have any thoughts on today's topic, on Nintendo music, on the soundtracks you'd like to see added, on just the app in general, we would love to hear it. But that's it for tonight's episode. So thank you for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, you can check us out on Twitter at retrologic.games, although I don't think Dan is on Twitter anymore and he manages that account. So you should probably go to our website, retrologic.games, or our Discord. As we mentioned, we love our Discord. We love the people in our Discord. They really make this a very special and rewarding thing for everyone. So We would love to have you there too. And you can find links to everything on the website, once again, retrologic.games. Have a good night.
Bye now.
Bye.